It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show.
Hey, go and get that bonus. Work. Let me see your devotion. Work. You just earned the promotion. Work. Can't leave without that notice. Shout and make it right. Work that thing around the clock. Everybody came to see it. Got a line around the block. Cashing out the ones. I got funds and they never stop. DJ play a song. I'ma let them fly just like a fly. Ball status, dripping all platinum. Got a floss habit. Throw that money. Ain't no jaw jacking. I got more baggage. Show me some. I can change your life if you don't know what's up. Seen it from the front. Now back it up just like a loaded truck. Ay, I got plenty paper. I just wanna spend with you. Ay, I ain't got nowhere to be, so let me chill with you. Ay, you the prototype, the baddest one up in the room. I just wanna see you making move in your birthday suit. Ay, work. Hey, go and get that bonus. Work. Let me see your devotion. Work. You just earned the promotion. Work. Can't leave without that notice.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everyone's doing well out there this afternoon. Going into the evening. This video, we're going to be getting into Cardi B defending Stefon Diggs in all of these allegations coming from Christopher Blake Griffith. Of course, this has been ongoing for the last couple of years. He's been alleging that Stefon Diggs tried to sexually harass him or sexually harassed him, sexually assaulted him. And when he was not receptive to Stefon's, advances, that he then had him jumped a week later. Okay. Other accounts of the story go that they hung out at the club and Chris stole some items. I think it was some money and items and things that he had in his possession that he was eventually tracked down and beat up for in an incident that involved Stefon's brother Grrrls and two other associates. I believe Grrrls got off with no jail time and had to serve probation. But Christopher has gone out and done interviews with the likes of Tasha K, the DJ that don't spin, and others in order to get his narrative out in the public sphere, right? Stefon Diggs has been fighting this. Cardi B has spoken out a couple of times concerning this situation. She feels like Christopher is all cap, and she's still riding that same wave, even though herself and Stefon Diggs are supposedly no more, right? I don't know the specifics of their situation. I do know that they have to co-parent, but as far as the updates have seen, they're supposedly not an item anymore, right? They just had video of or photos of Cardi B flirting with some dude in Paris or whatever. I don't know the situation of that. She's just having a good time, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But I want to try to get to what's going on, get to some of the specifics, get to clearing the air with some of the, headlines that are going around, just to get clarity, because if you just go by the headlines, all of this stuff looks crazy. Stefon Diggs is speaking out in Instagram comments. Cardi B is in Instagram comments. Christopher Blake Griffith is posting on Instagram. But I want to see not only those things, but also the paperwork to just get a little bit of understanding of what is actually happening in litigation. And who is the closest to telling the truth as it reflects in the paperwork, right? With that came some fees. Nigga had to pay $40 just to get to some goddamn paperwork. That shit crazy, man. Anybody want to help, the fund on that? Just at your discretion. I'm not asking. I'm just putting it out there. All right. But yeah, man. So let's go ahead and just kind of get to what's been happening in the media the last couple of days, and then we'll work our way into where things stand. And before we move further, I want to let it be known abundantly clear. I don't fuck with Stefon Diggs, so this is not a video to defend him either. All right. I just want to see what's going on. So the headlines came out a couple days ago from TMZ. They say Stefon Diggs, male sexual assault accuser, settles $10 million lawsuit with NFL star's brother. So when this headline came out, it was like a huge blitz on social media of people like, oh my God, did this guy just get $10 million from Stefon Diggs off the SA case? And unfortunately, with the way headlines work and the way that media literacy works with patrons online, all of this stuff turns into a firestorm. So they say here, the man who claims Stefon Diggs SA'd him reached a settlement with the NFL star's brother in a separate lawsuit over an alleged beatdown, TMZ has learned. Look at how much was said in just this one sentence. The man who claims Stefon Diggs SA'd him reached a settlement with the NFL star's brother in a separate lawsuit over an alleged beatdown. Just simply that one piece right there, in a separate lawsuit, possibly would have given people a little bit more indication of what was going on, but the headline already told the story that people needed in order to run with it. They say, according to court docs obtained by TMZ, Christopher Griffith hashed out a deal to drop his $10 million suit against Grrrls Diggs and an LA apartment complex. No details of the settlement were disclosed in the document. Christopher claims he was attacked by Grrrls and others on May 29, 2023 and had over $100K in property stolen. Now, the issue at hand is whether or not that property was even his to begin with. In his separate lawsuit against Stefon, which is still pending, Christopher claims he was hanging out with Stefon in his home when he was drugged. He says Stefon exposed his blank and began to masturbate. Christopher claims Stefon motioned to Christopher to touch his, which led to him telling the NFL star to put his penis away. He claims Stefon tried to kiss him later, but he evaded. Now, interestingly enough, this is their summary of Christopher's lawsuit. We've actually watched his interview with Tasha K on this channel where he claims that they were not at Stefon's home when this initially happened. He said that they were in the club in Maryland and that they was getting some candy going around and niggas was getting loose, right? And eventually they left the club. And this is where Stefon allegedly began to expose himself in his vehicle outside the club. He then says that he was acting weird and all this shit, put a tongue in his ear, all this wild shit. Then took him to the crib, took him to the house or something like that. And then he proceeded to, try to tempt him some more when they got there. But it's a very big distinction whether or not all of this took place inside his house or if this was all in succession from inside the club to outside the club in Stefon's car going to the house. All of these things matter. Again, I don't fuck with this nigga. If he on that type of timing, hey man, get what you can out this motherfucker. I don't care. But just these little details don't particularly add up in sequential order. Okay? Christopher claims Stefon then placed his tongue in Christopher's ear in a kissing manner and whispered to him to come in his room. Christopher claimed he was approached by Grrrls and two women who threatened to harm him if he said anything about what happened with Stefon. He said he was stripped of his clothes and put in a car to the airport. Okay? So he says that after Stefon tried to come on to him, he was then approached by Grrrls and two women and stripped down and sent to the airport. So he was walking through the airport butt booty cheek ass naked Nobody saw that? Somebody by now. A week later, he said he was attacked outside the elevator in his apartment building by Grrrls and others. We did see the beatdown on camera. Grrrls and whoever that was, you know, we saw the camera footage of him getting his ass whooped or jumped. They say Stefon and Grrrls denied all allegations of wrongdoing previously and countersued Christopher for defamation. Stefon sued Christopher for defamation. So that's just the summary that TMZ put out that got everybody buzzing, right? So Stefon came out and wanted to clarify. He says, mamas, a nigga lying. And I think he mean own mamas. A nigga lying on my name because he got caught stealing. Remember, Christopher used to work for Stefon as a stylist. He also used to work for Gervonta Davis, professional boxer, who is also a very troubled individual. We'll continue. On mamas, a nigga lying on my name because he got caught stealing. I ain't paid a dime, right? Because people are claiming that he coughed up $10 million. He says, I ain't paid nothing. He sued the building, which he did. And we're going to get to the paperwork of him suing the building. He said, it's easy to run with a misleading headline. If it's text messages, tell a nigga post them because I want to see them too, right? Because the other part of the story is that Chris submitted 100 pages of text messages and interactions between himself and Stefon Diggs into discovery that prompted this expedient settlement. That's the narrative that's going across social media, is that he put all this information into the docket and Stefon said, oh, hell no, abort mission, give him his money. Stefon says, no, that's not what's happening at all. He says, if it's text, I want to see them shits too. Like this case is here because I sued him for defamation. Remember, there's multiple cases going on at once involving all the same parties pretty much. He says, trying to act like this nigga is a victim because he lying is crazy. 100 pages? Okay, post them then. At the end, when I prove this nigga a liar and a bitch ass nigga, then what? You gonna make another post? So we got this other person that says where his brother get 10 million from, right? Because originally Stefon Diggs was not even a defendant on the California lawsuit where he got beat up. It was his brother and the hotel or the apartment complex. Where his brother get 10 million from? Stefon says he sued the building. Another misleading headline. Cap. Okay. From there, we get Cardi B, who's also on the job, trying to defend this guy, as in Stefon. And y'all know I fucking hate it that she comes out and defends this nigga. I never really cared for him all that much, but I supported it because, hey, she wanted to be with the nigga. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't know these people. So they say, what about the 100 text messages and DMs between the two that he submitted in court? So it was just blank pages? Cardi says, you supposed to submit your whole entire phone. Stefon team asked to submit the messages, not the other way around. It's called discovery. She comes back. He is not asking to get it dismissed, which is, I think she's on to something. I've already taken a gander at the paperwork. She says, where are you even getting that for? The whole point of suing is to go to court and prove he was lying, as in Stefon Diggs' counterclaims for defamation. This man did 3 interviews, changed his story 2 times, and never provided not one receipt. But you right, wait till trials start. Okay? So she says, hey, you got your facts all wrong. Where are you getting this information from? He's not asking to get it dismissed. He's asking to, there is one of the counts that Stefon is asking to get dismissed, and that would be the internal infliction of emotional distress. And the reason being for them trying to get that claim dismissed is because they've actually submitted testimony from Christopher's depositions about his relationship or friendship or associatehood with Stefon. And they basically use clippings of his own deposition that show nowhere in here did he even tried to end the friendship. He was still open to reconciling with Stefon after all of these alleged incidents happened. So how is he so emotionally distressed when he still wanted to be friends? He still wanted to be around. We'll have to see how the judge weighs on that. And of course, this is in the other piece. But I think the other fucking thing is dismissed anyway. So we'll just have to see what I'm gonna have to catch up on the paperwork. But I know I read that for sure. In addition to going in the comments, Cardi B has also taken to spaces to speak on this situation, which I also hate. I really don't like. You got too much other shit going on for yourself. But these are the games she wants to play. I can't stop her. So here's what she has to say on Spaces. And I probably will stop this shit before it's over because it's 10 minutes. Hell no.
I really hate how y'all got me defending a nigga. Y'all got me defending a nigga that I'm beefing with. And I don't like that shit. Like I really, really hate that. But I'm not liking how it's one thing for the internet to give false claims and report false news, but for credible sources and credible people that's supposed to be talking about credible shit, they're supposed to be doing their research to talk about it. I really hate this shit because it's like, let me tell you something. When you sue somebody for defamation, like I sue somebody for defamation, there is nothing to hide. There is nothing to hide. When it's time to go to discovery, when it's time to do discovery, you gotta turn in all your phone, all your apps. It don't matter if you deleted a text, it don't matter if you deleted a message, they will retrieve it. This man is suing somebody else because they lied on them so bad and they're trying to prove to the world that what this person said is a lie. And I don't like how people, everything has been on the internet from the beginning. This light skinned albino came on the internet and told the story 3 different times. The first time was, I asked this nigga for some money, like he was my people, and he came and whispered in my ear, like, oh, you want the money, you gotta do this, this, and that. Then when your story wasn't getting picked up how you wanted it to get picked up, you juiced it up and you spiced it the fuck up. And now it's, oh yeah, he pulled out, yeah, he was high and he pulled out his meat. You said 2 different stories. And what the crazy shit is that bloggers and people that's supposed to be making their research are not even doing their research to see how this man did the story 2 different sides. Said the stories 2 different ways. Then on top of that, and I don't give a fuck. I can talk about it because I'm not the one I'm not getting sued. I don't got nothing to do with it. I'm not even involved with the nigga. It's just the fact that it's like everybody, it's not fair. And it's like, it's kind of sick because it's like, how much can a person take? What happened if somebody commits suicide? What happens to that? Because when somebody was lying on my name and people was calling me all types of names for 2-3 years until I prove in court the truth, that shit had me fucking going crazy. So imagine when somebody imagine a nigga being such a hater, you steal from somebody, you hate the fact that they didn't forgive you because you stole from them. You didn't like everybody around your circle knew that you stole. So what you did, you went and you put the worst allegations, worst allegation on a man. I never seen another man want to be involved so much with have those allegations with another man. Not only that, I never seen a man be obsessed with another man like that. Cause I got bitches and I got niggas obsessed, be obsessed. But a whole man that got kids obsessed with another man is crazy. And on top of that, pocket watching another man is crazy. Pocket watching a nigga career, pocket watching a nigga home. What? Nigga, you a grown ass man. Why you picking up with another nigga? Why you even wanna you have son, you have a son. Why you wanna be involved in those type of allegations, and then you're going around different blogs and different podcasts talking about it all smiley and shit, lying though. Because you did two different stories, two versions. What was it? At first it was, oh, I asked nigga, can he help me out? Cause I was fucked up. And then he said, oh yeah, sure, but first you gotta do this. Then you went and juiced it up like, oh yeah, we was high, we was having fun, and the nigga just whipped out his. First of all, the nigga don't even act like that.
Cardi.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to take a picture for the visa.
Well, take a picture of me because I'm pretty.
So we gotta scan your face.
Okay.
And then we go inside, take a picture, and then you can come back and chill for a few minutes.
Okay.
Oh
All
my
right.
God.
Take the picture.
Yeah. Then you
Then on top of that, like this is how I know. This is it's not even how I know. This is the shit that y'all gotta visibly is, the allegations that you claiming. But you post up a DM of a nigga talking about, yeah, I'ma bust your ass. And you trying to say like, oh yeah, look at the type of shit that he was writing to me.
That's
But you don't
crazy.
scroll up when a nigga say when y'all talking about basketball. Yeah, we about to go play. Yeah, I'm about to bust your ass. And then you try to make it seem like a nigga was trying to fake flirt with you. Why you
Hey man, I don't partake in none of these activities. But let me know for those that do. And for the ladies out there, let me know if a nigga prompts you for sex by saying I'm gonna bust your ass. You know what I mean? I don't know this. You know what I mean? I'm not used to that lingo being used in those terms. Typically it comes up in competition like what she's saying. Again, I haven't seen what she's talking about, but I've never heard "I'm a bust your ass" used in that context. But please let me know in the other communities that I'm not so enlightened about if that lingo is different.
ain't show that? Why you ain't show that? When this nigga posted it on his shit, trying to prove you wrong, nobody was posting that. Like, why do y'all want? Why do like shit is insane to me? And I feel like at this point, like these blogs, they're gonna report the truth, but the headline be so misleading, and people really just don't read, and it's like it's bullying and bullying and bullying and picking and picking and picking and picking and picking. Like it's like, yo, like enough is enough. Like what you want the nigga to do? Throw himself off a fucking bridge? If somebody's hiding something, they wouldn't be suing. And then it's like when the shit is taken to court, then it's apologies. Oh, it's apologies. Like, oh damn. Oh wow, we should have never doubted. When it's too late, when y'all been picking on nigga for so fucking long, that's fucked up. I don't like that shit.
we are doing it.
Okay. Cause let me tell you something. I will never forget in 2018. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what happened, right? In 2011.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Cardi. I'm gonna stop you here. I know your story. I know how impactful that Tasha K, the rumors and everything had you in a dark place. But I gotta move forward with the show. Okay. Salute to you and the family, though. So Chris Blake Griffith comes out and he says, I have too much respect for Barty and women in general for me to say anything disparaging back to her. But mama, please take off the blinders. My time around that collective predates you. How could I be the thief when the only person that got robbed and assaulted was me? On camera twice within a 7-day span. Your baby mama came out and said you was a thief too, bro. I could have swore she came out and said you stole. Um, he says y'all keep talking about which direction someone leans toward in the regard to sexual orientation while bypassing 2 documented assaults. Well, the assault that we've seen was the assault on camera. You clearly got jumped and beat up. But that doesn't actually lean towards sexual orientation at all. We don't know what the situation is. Now, we could take your word for it, but you don't also seem to be the most reliable character. And you've been kicked out of every circle that you've worked in the industry, whether it be Stefon Diggs, whether it be Drake, whether it be Javante Davis, all the major people that you've associated yourself with no longer fuck with you. Now, interestingly enough, all the parties that you used to be running with are not the most reliable motherfuckers either. It sounds like y'all all a den of thieves and fuck ups, if you ask me. But let me continue. He says, first robbery and attack was illegally recorded without my consent, as Maryland is a two-party consent state, and I'd never agreed to be recorded while being stripped naked and beaten to comply with a narrative after I denied the advances of a man who had just given me a diamond watch from Eliante the same night of my attack. Okay? The guy publicly admitted to me leaving his home without my belongings as he bragged about having me Jazzy Jeffed from the Bethesda, Maryland property, barefoot. Well, I mean, Jazzy Jeff means you got thrown out. Not even with my shoes on my feet. Damn, he said they took that nigga everything. Drawers, tank top, jewelry, and shoes. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in clothes, accessories, and luggage gone from me still to date. Second robbery and attack in California is captured via 4K surveillance cameras from all angles where someone with the same middle and last name as Barty's baby daddy were charged and convicted by the state of California for the attack on my life. Same middle and last name. You mean his brother. You know how embarrassing it is to have to face this foolishness every day? How embarrassed are you? Because you're not hiding. And I'm not saying you should be. But I don't know how embarrassed you are to go on a stream with the DJ that don't spin and Tasha K. Those wouldn't be the people that you would be speaking to if that were the case. Anyway, we'll continue. Organized crime is illegal. Organizing crimes is illegal. He says, if I didn't speak up, imagine how many more victims there may be. Look up what happened to Nigel King. Look up whom attacked Nigel and cross-reference those names with whom attacked me. Them same kids she referenced that are watching me need to know their daddy never let anybody step on me or over me that did me wrong, simply because they were more rich. Truth gonna beat a lie 8 days a week. We don't have 8. The discovery that comes out in the East Coast trial will put all this to madness to rest. And I believe the East Coast trial, there's something jurisdictional going on with that. But of course, Stefon also has a lawsuit against him for defamation. He says, and who pocket watches? Someone whom was sued for defamation and claims their earnings were affected. Simple math for me to ask where you took a loss. I mean, we're talking about an NFL star who's no longer playing, who led his team to the Super Bowl and doesn't have a job right now. Don't like the nigga. Please remember, I was sued first. I responded with facts that have only become more substantial. That's not true. You weren't sued first. You filed a claim a year or two ago. He then sued you for defamation. We'll get to it. He says, I responded with facts that have only become more substantiated as time has taken shape, and now everybody involved will be held accountable where it matters most, before a judge and jury. Barty, it's all love. You don't know what you don't know. CB to CB. Mama, please don't say my name anymore. Chris Blake with the ninja emoji. So was that a Chris Blake nigga? Or was that just, I don't know. Now be clear, I don't know what happened. It's very possible Stefon Diggs did exactly what Chris Blake Griffith said he did to him. I do not know. However, the information that's being put out there is not all the way 100, and he's co-signing it. So here we have a filing from Stefon Diggs in his claim, counterclaim versus Chris Blake Griffith. Okay? Let's read through it. It's 11 pages here. It says, plaintiff and counterclaim defendant Stefon Diggs memorandum in support of motion for partial summary judgment. Okay? Now, when this says motion for partial summary judgment, I don't want y'all to think that Stefon is pushing to settle for a judgment that he would be paying. We're going to read through it. Now comes plaintiff and counterclaim defendant Stefon Diggs and submits this memorandum in support of his motion for partial summary judgment on count 4 of defendant and counterclaim plaintiff Christopher Blake Griffith's counterclaim for intentional infliction of emotional distress. No genuine issue of material fact exists for trial, and Mr. Diggs is entitled to judgment as a matter of law on the IIED claim. So he wants a judgment in his favor. Preliminary statement. This case concerns the defamatory conduct of Mr. Griffith with respect to 2 alleged incidents. The claims stem from an alleged incident between Mr. Diggs and Mr. Griffith in the early morning hours of May 22, 2023 at Mr. Diggs' Rockville, Maryland residence. The case also references Mr. Diggs' alleged involvement in an incident between Mr. Griffith and 3 non-parties in LA, the alleged May 29th incident. Mr. Diggs sued Mr. Griffith for, among other things, defamation because Mr. Griffith's public statements regarding the alleged May 22nd incident and alleged May 29th incident are completely false and defamatory. Mr. Griffith asserted counterclaims against Mr. Diggs, asserting claims for battery, sexual battery, civil conspiracy, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and defamation. There is no reasonable dispute that this case involves significant issues of fact related to the events of May 22nd and May 29th, 2023. However, with respect to the IIED claim, which is based solely on the alleged May 22nd incident, there is no issue of fact that Mr. Griffith lacks the requisite severe emotional distress necessary to sustain such a claim, based on his own testimony. Accordingly, this court should grant Mr. Diggs' motion and dismiss the IIED claim as a matter of law. Okay? So he's not trying to dismiss Chris's lawsuit in whole or counterclaims in whole, but they're starting with the emotional distress piece. So they say, while there are many disputed facts and issues in this case, Mr. Griffith's IIED claim is narrow. It is limited to his allegations underlying the alleged May 22nd incident. Of course, Mr. Diggs' position is that Mr. Griffith's account of the early morning hours of May 22nd, 2023 is entirely fabricated, and the false nature of that account gives rise to a claim for defamation by Mr. Diggs. However, the court need not resolve this deeply contested factual dispute. Rather, the court need only examine Mr. Griffith's own testimony under oath to determine that his alleged emotional distress does not meet the levels of severity required by law to sustain a claim for intentional infliction of emotional distress as a matter of law. So they're going to use his own words. As this court is aware, Mr. Griffith initiated a lawsuit in state court in California on January 16, 2024, captioned Christopher Griffith vs. Grrrls Diggs et al. Superior Court of the State of California, nearly 2 years prior to filing his civil conspiracy counterclaim in this case. Mr. Griffith was deposed in the California action for the first time on March 4th, 2025, long after the alleged May 22nd incident. During that deposition, Mr. Griffith casually described his relationship with Mr. Diggs and indicated that while they no longer spoke, he was unsure why. Now, why would you be unsure about why you were speaking to somebody if you feel like they violated you? You should be the one initiating the no longer speaking. You should know exactly why you ain't speaking. I ain't fucking with that nigga because that nigga tried some gay shit and I ain't with it. I don't need to be around niggas like that, right? But again, I'm not here to defend Stefon. I'm just going by what's on the paper. So the deposition states, when's the last time you did any work for Stefon Diggs? He said May of 2023. They asked him, well, why did you stop? He says, I'm unsure. How you unsure about why you stopped working for him if the reason why you don't want to be around him is because he tried to get your booty? And I'm not trying to be funny. Question, this is directly from the deposition. Did, generally speaking, before May of 2022, Did you call him with some frequency? They say before May of 2023, you mean? They say yes. He says yes. They ask, and those phone calls stopped after May of 2023? He says yes. They ask, did you ever call him to say, hey, what's going on? Chris says no. They ask, did you make any assumptions as to why he stopped calling you? There was an objection from an attorney. They come back and rephrase it. Did you come to any assumption as to why Stefon Diggs stopped contacting you? He says no. You don't even have the slightest assumption as to why? They ask, was there any reason why you did not contact him? He says, I didn't really feel the need to. I felt like if he needed me, he'd call me. Well, why would he need you? If he threw you out of his house butt ass naked in one incident, and then in another incident, he tries to get your manhood, and then he has you jumped by his people. If he needed you, he would call you. How does any of that make sense? Exhibit A, excerpts from March 4th, 2025 deposition of Christopher Griffith. Additionally, when describing conversations that he had with third parties regarding the alleged May 22nd incident, Mr. Griffith indicated that his preference would be to continue having a relationship with Mr. Diggs. Okay? More quotes from the deposition. So I just asked you if you tried to reach out to Stefon after the alleged May 22nd incident, and you said through these gentlemen. Christopher says, you asked me if I asked them to put me in contact. They say, no. I asked if you tried to get in contact with him. He says, no. They said, and you said through others. So Chris says, I talked to Dylan London. I talked to both of them actually, and they agreed that they would have a conversation with him to try to get us back on track. That never occurred as far as us getting back on track. So why is it that you are communicating with intermediaries or third parties to get back in contact with Stefon Diggs if he did these unspeakable things to you? Why would you be open to a conversation? But then you go out and do interviews and make it seem like, oh, nah, this is the ultimate violation. I couldn't understand it. Like, nah, I'm a man. But when you get with the lawyers and actually have to answer to your shit on paper, it sounds like y'all just naturally fell out of contact and you never knew why. And you was talking to his people about y'all getting back on track. Back on track for what? Why would you want to, I don't have to say it. They say, why would you want to try to get back on track with someone who tried to drug and then take advantage of you? His answer, I don't think that the story had to end that way. That's his answer. I don't think the story had to end that way. I, at least, just wanted to let him know that, who you are sexually is who you are sexually, and I respect that. I just ask that you respect who I am sexually and not overstep my boundaries. How could you possibly respect niggas stripping you down out your clothes, take your jewelry, all your belongings, and send you out on an airplane to be flown back, butt ass naked? How could you ever respect that? They did you like Homeboy and Belly. How could you respect it? I'm not even trying to be funny, but for real. He says, would I potentially put myself in a situation of that level of proximity with him again? No. But could we coexist in a room? Yes. What? How could you coexist with a man who tried to violate you? They say here, so a man that drugged you against your will involuntarily, you would continue to do business with such a person? He says, no business. but we could be colleagues within a room. How, Sway? Notwithstanding the disputed nature of the events of May 22nd, 2023, Mr. Griffith described a willingness to maintain a professional relationship with Mr. Diggs and be in the same room with him. Additionally, Mr. Griffith was deposed a second time in the California action on June 9, 2025. During that deposition, Mr. Griffith continued to express a lack of any distress arising from the alleged May 22nd incident, let alone the type of distress, quote unquote, so severe that no reasonable man could be expected to endure it. I believe that's a quote from his lawsuit. They say here, indeed, Mr. Griffith again expressed a desire to communicate with Diggs. They say, thanks for coming back, Mr. Griffith. We had some technical difficulties, and right before you left, I had asked you, at no point of that day, May 22nd, 2023, or any time after, did you ever contact the authorities about this incident? He says, no, I didn't contact the authorities because I didn't have my phone while I was naked. Okay? Justifiable. Not really, because when you touched down and got dressed, you didn't contact the police. He said, they say, and what about after when you were at the airport? He says, after, I was still trying to gauge whether or not it was like a sexual attempt gone wrong, and maybe a guy I was really close to, and Stefon having a shot ego due to my rejection. I was really just eager to have a conversation with him and let him know that I didn't judge him in any way, shape, or form for being who he is in authentic form. How are you so supportive of a person who would have his people accost you, strip you down to your ass, and send you on your way, and then brag about it on social media allegedly and saying that you got Jazzy Jeffed out his house? But you eager to have a conversation and say, hey man, I don't judge you. Who does that? I was just expecting him to respect my space and my boundaries and not cross them. And we can be cool moving forward. If that's something he would have respected, I would have just parted ways separately. But like I said, I haven't spoken to him to date. He be sounding smart to niggas who ain't smart. Moreover, when describing his alleged injuries purportedly resulting from the alleged May 29th incident, Mr. Griffith explicitly indicated that none of the alleged mental trauma he experienced was the result of the alleged May 22nd incident. Question: do you feel that the incident in Maryland may have contributed to these mood swings? He says, not so much, because I think the mood swings and the mental highs and lows are directly associated with being kicked in the head during the alleged May 29th incident. None of that occurred in Maryland, so no. Which could be a jurisdictional issue. Additionally, when Mr. Griffith was deposed in this matter, he again expressed that he had initially had a desire to maintain his relationship with Mr. Diggs and was hopeful that the relationship could be reconciled even after the alleged May 22nd incident. Have you previously reported any of the incidents that you've described on May 22nd that occurred on May 22nd of 2023 to the police before this report? So did you ever contact the police? He says, no, not the Maryland police. All right, any police? He says, I believe I mentioned in a meeting I had with Detective Arietta early on. Yeah, but I don't think I had spoken to Maryland police about any of this yet. They say, and so October 16th, 2024, you'd agree with me, is approximately 17 months after this incident is alleged to have occurred, right? He says, it's definitely next year. If I want to do the math, we could be super specific, but yeah, let's go with that. That's fine. They say, and so why make the report that lengthy of an amount of time later? He says, much like how earlier today I spoke to you with a certain level of I don't know if you deem it that, but I do. In regard to respect I have for Javante Davis, whom I still consider a brother. I may not consider Stefon a brother anymore, but our relationship was very strong leading up to it. It felt like something that could be corrected. Man tried to drug you. Man pulled out his Wonka Wonka. Man allegedly tried to put his hand on your Wonka Wonka. Took you to the crib, allegedly gave you a wet willy and said, let's go in my room. You said, hey man, I ain't with that, man. He then gets you thrown out of a party, allegedly, stripped down to your ass, sent the hell on. Then you get jumped a week later, robbed, and you still say, hey man, we could correct this? Hey, maybe he has the forgiveness of a true saint. Okay? Again, it felt like something that could be corrected, and a part of me still wanted to protect him. Those excerpts were from June 12th, 2026, this year. Matter of fact, last month. That's what he said in private. That don't sound like what he was saying in them interviews. Based on Mr. Griffith's own testimony, his IIED claim fails as a matter of law and should be dismissed. There is no genuine dispute of material fact as to the severity of his alleged emotional distress. Mr. Griffith attributed his alleged mood swings and mental highs and lows to the alleged May 29th incident in California, and not to anything that purportedly occurred in Maryland as it relates to the alleged May 22nd incident. And of course, May 22nd would have been the alleged sexual harassment or assault or whatever they're claiming. Further, Mr. Griffith testified that he hoped to communicate with Mr. Diggs and to preserve some form of a relationship, and that he and Mr. Diggs could coexist in the same room. Mr. Griffith's testimony is incompatible with the severe disabling distress Maryland law requires for a claim of intentional infliction of emotional distress. So they want summary judgment here. The court shall grant summary judgment if the movement shows that there is no genuine dispute as to any material fact, and the movement is entitled to judgment as a matter of law. Okay, so they just go through the case law relevant to their demand here to the courts. The plaintiff's distress must be so severe that no reasonable man could be expected to endure it. They say no genuine issue of fact exists as to the lack of sufficient severity of Mr. Griffith's purported emotional distress. So they're saying he doesn't meet these requirements. I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible. His IID claim arises solely from the alleged May 22nd incident. He has previously testified that his purported mood swings and mental highs and lows have nothing to do with anything that allegedly happened in Maryland. He has expressed a desire to communicate with Mr. Diggs regarding the alleged May 22nd incident, indicated his belief that the relationship could be corrected, and makes clear that he believes he and Mr. Diggs could be colleagues existing in the same room. This type of emotional response falls well short of the severe emotional distress that disrupts a plaintiff's ability to function on a daily basis required to sustain a claim for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Okay? So that's one piece. Now, as it pertains to the California suit that was just dismissed, I'm not going to go through all 100 pages of this, but I want to show what's going on here. So this is a document where Chris and his legal team are basically putting the pressure on TFC Partners, aka NFC Amenity Management. Okay. So this is the property management group of the apartment complex where he was jumped at, right? So this isn't dealing with Stefon. This is dealing with the security or lack thereof and why he was not safe in that apartment complex when he got jumped. Okay? Which is ultimately what seems like what led to the settling out of court from the apartment complex, not from Stefon's brother, but from the company holding liability for him being robbed, jumped, etc. Okay? So they say here, through discovery, it has become clear that defendant TFC Partners Incorporated, doing business as NFC Amenity Management, has no regard for the safety of the tenants it was hired to protect. Plaintiff resided on the 16th floor of Central Apartments, an exclusive high-rise building in the heart of downtown LA. Part of the allure of the building, and certainly part of the costs associated with living there come from the 24-hour concierge service, which restricted access to the residences. Living in an urban area such as downtown LA, individuals pay for their peace in knowing that persons cannot gain access to the floors without verification and authorization. Plaintiff's peace was shattered because defendant TFC horrifically, maliciously, and actively facilitated the violent attack on him by failing to perform the responsibilities charged to it. Besides the absolute neglect of proper training and execution services, defendant TFC had advanced additional notice that unauthorized assailants were lurking on plaintiff's residential floor. Moreover, said notice provided defendant TFC with ample time to take action to preserve resident safety, but defendant TFC did not. And basically what they're getting into here is the employees who actually allowed Grrrls Diggs and whomever else came in with him onto the property in order to get close to him where he would get jumped. Okay? And basically they're saying that proper protocols were not taken to prevent this from happening. Additionally, despite knowing that holidays introduce greater foot traffic in the building, defendant TFC refused to follow its own protocols as to the number of employees on the shift the day plaintiff was beaten, since additional employees on a holiday meant increased hourly pay for same. And when all was said and done, one employee who was improperly trained and supervised, who gave unrestricted access to individuals that beat plaintiff on his residential floor despite being warned of the danger, defendant TFC's managing agent found no issue with these inexcusable shortcomings. These actions and inactions provide a textbook scenario for punitive damages. All right. So here they get into their allegations of what happened on Memorial Day weekend and how these defendants got onto the premises for him to get beat up, right? And also the defendant TFC and their employees being held liable. Okay, again, I'm not going to read through all of this, just a bit. So they say plaintiff was met by 3 unauthorized assailants who were waiting for him as he exited the elevator. Plaintiff was severely beaten by these men who were given access to his residential floor by defendant. On January 16, 2024, he filed his complaint. Defendant TFC's former employee, Jack McKeown, was deposed on December 29, 2025, and they have his deposition in here where he talks about his lack of training. They also get to the fact that he was not trained on security and visitors coming into the building. Mr. McKeown testified that he would use his electronic elevator key fob to give residents or guests who checked in with him elevator control once residents verified their purpose. Despite receiving no training on access to residential floors, McKeown explained that if a guest does not do a complete check-in with the concierge attendant, the attendant is not supposed to fob them up. Further, McKeown confirmed that he did not call anyone prior to giving the 3 assailants elevator access prior to the incident occurring. Again, McKeown is just the employee that worked there who incidentally gave them access and then Chris was beat up. McCoy confirmed that there were supposed to be 2 employees working on the date of the incident, but he was the only one on the premises that holiday. As a result, McCoy was busy with another resident at the time. The assailants approached the desk and he failed to get any identification from them whatsoever before providing them elevator access. He also failed to secure authorization permitting the assailants access to the residential floors. And again, they have his declaration and deposition where he admits this much. Here they get into somebody who is a superior of Mr. McCoy, who came out and made conclusions that Mr. McCoy had acted properly and appropriately rather than reprimanding him and saying that he had done a bad job or that, you know, the situation shouldn't have happened, right? So Mr. Rosales said the authority on behalf of defendant TFC to make conclusions as to whether McCoy acted appropriately during the events comprising the incident and determine whether discipline was warranted. On behalf of defendant TFC, he determined that McCoy did nothing wrong during the incident. Defendant TFC's conclusion that McCoy did nothing wrong was not based on surveillance video that captured the incident or based on whether proper protocol was followed or based on communication with law enforcement or based on whether more than one employee on site would have prevented the incident from occurring. In fact, defendant TFC chose not to review any of the key evidence available to it prior to determining that McCoy acted appropriately. Defendant TFC did not recommend McCoy for any discipline for the events comprising the incident that left plaintiff beaten, and defendant TFC made no changes to policies or procedures as a result of this incident to prevent a similar event from happening again because they had no systems in place. What defendant TFC did admit was that employees who work Memorial Day weekend would have been paid an increase in hourly amount, and such holiday weekends will bring heavy foot traffic. So they blamed the heavy foot traffic on his inability to properly follow protocol, which subsequently resulted in Christopher getting his ass whooped in the elevator, right? They also have a deposition with another resident in the apartment complex who actually saw these guys waiting outside, and they were alarmed for their own safety because they're like, who are these strange guys standing out here? Why are they just camped out? And they were also alerted because there were also other crimes that had happened. Somebody was shot and killed at this same apartment complex just a week before Christopher Blake Griffith was beat up, right? So what I'm getting at here is, remember at the top of the video, Stefon Diggs said that the settlement is with the apartment complex, not his brother. And as you can see, all of these allegations here are coming down on the management company for not having the proper precautions and not properly training their employees to ensure that something like this never happened. So again, I don't fuck with Stefon Diggs, not a fan. But based on the information in Chris's lawsuit, and this was submitted, this is the last bit of information that was submitted before the settlement came. This is what got that settlement, not the sexual assault claims. And I think people need to understand that. How many people are going to sit here for an hour and listen to this and learn that that's what it is? I don't know. But I do implore y'all to tell a friend to come see it for themselves. So now the California issue is completely out the window. So now what we're dealing with is Stefon Diggs' defamation lawsuit against Chris Blake Griffith and Chris Blake Griffith's countersuit for assault, sexual assault, emotional distress, and all of that. Those are the two remaining lawsuits moving forward. And we're going to see who ends up coming out on top and who ends up submitting discovery to prove exactly what it is. Now, Chris claims he submitted 100 pages of text messages and stuff like that. I currently don't have access to that. So once I become privy to that information, if it ever gets put out, because there are some disputes about what should be sealed and what shouldn't be, if it does come out publicly, we'll come talk about it Once again, I cannot say what happened behind closed doors in the car or inside of Stefon Diggs' house. If it's revealed that he did indeed try to push up on that man, it will be revealed at some point. You know what I mean? And I'm not here to defend none of that shit. All right? Just giving y'all what was placed out in the paperwork because most people ain't gonna see it. All right? Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider. I'm gonna see y'all on the next one, man. Peace.
Yeah, family over fame in this bitch, yeah. The glory of living righteous is setting in. My street knowledge and education's a perfect blend. Young mogul, independent, I've been setting trends. The first one from my family to be faithfully wed. Fuck niggas and the horses that they riding on. I see this shit from all angles like a polygon. I'm never politicking, the drama be piling on. Father and great son acknowledged like I'm Bobby Bonds. Conversation with my lady about the paper route. 5 sit bank accounts, every day I make it count. They down talking my commentary for hating now. Well, I can take it cause I'm bodying your favorite now, please. I could do this shit in my sleep. I been writing for these niggas, y'all read it and weep. I been fighting these niggas if you speak on the street. I'll turn your birthday party into New Year's Eve. Don't let me take it there. We ain't playing fair. This the ATL, Southside nigga moving furniture like Wayfair. Life on hold, no insurance for your health care. Lifeline gone, so you wanna be a millionaire? Well, let me tell you about this world I built. The women I dodged, the niggas that I read for filth. The sympathy cause consulting for the stacks I built. I had to